Welcome to Flights and Flicks, everyone, where we pair 4 different beers with 4 aspects of a movie.
We're the Bens here on Cinema Gulp, so let's board our flights.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Valentine's Day edition.
It being the most romantic time of the year, we picked romantic comedies.
That we did. And did I fall in love with you, or did you fall in love with me over which movie? I can't remember what it was.
Ben, you had me at hello.
You had me at hello.
I think I fell in love with you while watching Best in Show. That's what it was.
Teeth, eyes, ears, gums.
Am I seeing right? Where's she putting her hands now?
First, starting with you, Ben, what movie, what rom-com did you select?
I chose 2009's Away We Go by Sam Mendes.
The movie that I chose was the unrated version of Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I think it's one of the most unconventional romantic comedies ever made. I think it has a ton of heart and a ton of sweetness to it, despite all of its sort of vulgar, nasty nature, which was sort of those early aughts rom-coms that they were making that were sort of what they would call the raunchy comedies, sort of the Judd Apatow crew. We're going to talk about 4 different aspects of the movie, and we're going to start with story. Next, we're going to move on to character, then the filmmaker themselves, and then the themes of the movie. And these flights right here, custom made by Cinema Gulp, by the way, are available. So Ben, let's get started. I want to talk to you first. Let's see the beer you selected for the movie and the story of the beer that you selected.
The film Away We Go is about a mid-30s couple who are
33. He keeps repeating that.
He does.
33.
He does. 33. Who get pregnant, and they don't have a lot going on where they live, so they decide they want to do some traveling and decide where they want to raise their baby. But the inciting incident of the film is not them getting pregnant. It is actually when Bert, the boyfriend's parents, decide to move to Belgium for 2 years. And the whole reason that Bert and his girlfriend Verona even moved by them to live in this dumpy little house where their power goes out and it's always cold was to be near them and eventually maybe have a kid. And they could be grandparents to them. But Bert's parents are kind of selfish, so they showed off their $12,000 statue and decided to move to Belgium and rent their house out. So because of such a weird inciting incident for a film, I chose Sophie by Goose Island, and it is a Belgian-style saison with orange peel.
Yummers. Give that a whirl.
Oh, yeah.
And while he's taking a sip of that, man, the Catherine O'Hara, Jeff Daniels scene is
It's great.
fucking so funny. How is that?
It's good. It's got a really nice, orange kind of aftertaste to it. Very smooth. Catherine O'Hara and Jeff Daniels in that movie.
Holy shit.
They are
funny.
so weird and selfish at the same time. Let me get this out of the way. I never remember to say actors' names when I should. Verona is played by Maya Rudolph.
Yeah.
And then Bert is played by John Krasinski, and they are stars of the film. And they're so weird. Catherine O'Hara goes into so much detail about giving birth to Bert in a bathtub, and just the suggestive sensuality of the firemen who have to get her. It's just weird hippie energy. And they're just completely oblivious to the struggles that their kid's going through right now. But it's funny, it's really funny.
Oh, I just love how they start out by just being Catherine O'Hara just grabs Maya Rudolph and is like, I cannot wait for this baby. And she's like, promise me she'll be like this. And it's like, you're thinking that this grandmother is going to be there for every second of her life. And then when they're sitting at dinner, it's just completely flipped on its head. I thought that was so funny and very awkward, obviously.
Yeah. And they're really oblivious. In that scene where she's fawning over Verona, Bert hands his dad the sonogram photos, but he's already saying how great they look before he even opens the envelope. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sure it's great. It's great." And then his mom is saying all this really oblivious stuff about like the color of the baby and telling her how huge she looks. She's 6 months pregnant, but she looks huge.
She does. I think she actually says, "How black do you think it's going to be?"
Yeah,
and
that's what she
goes.
says.
Well, I'm not sure, but we could leave her out in the sun for a few days. Like I said, awkward,
Mm-hmm.
but so funny and such sharp writing. Like that's the thing about that movie. So
there is something so genuine about the love that John Krasinski and Maya Rudolph portray for one another on screen. Just some of the dialogue, the looks, and the small touches they give one another. So I have this theory, right? That people think they want to live in movies, right? Like everyone wants the movie, which they think means a happy ending. But really movies are full of conflict and people getting screwed over and people dying and robots coming from the future back to kill you. But what people think that means is that they want a perfect happy ending and they want life to be full of love and that hardships can be worked through together. And that's what this movie is. There's not a lot of conflict in it, but there's a lot of genuine performances that like make for this kind of fantasy world where people like the ones closest to us tend to hopefully like build us and push us forward,
yeah. And what I can say,
I totally went off there, man. But,
no, what I can say about your movie, which I love so much, and mine has a similar unconventional nature to it, is that in your romantic comedy, the two key characters are already in love.
Yes.
They're madly in love. So you're not watching a movie where it's hot body and hot body who both have amazing jobs in New York City high rises.
Yeah.
And they fall in love and hijinks ensue. These are two people that are very relatable to normal people and they're already in love. The conflict of the movie is the story, which is what we're talking about right now. Them trying to figure out where do they want to end up. They know they're going to be together forever, but where do they want to be?
That's exactly right. I can't think of a lot of other movies where like at no point do you ever think this couple wouldn't be together or something would break them apart. But that being the conflict of the film, to use the word conflict, it's almost fuzzy because like wherever they are together is home.
Yeah.
But
that's the point of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But now with the baby on the way, that equation changes.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to my story. Which is represented by the beer Love Bites, which is an Imperial Strawberry Stout by the brewery, which is one of my favorite breweries ever. I mean, they're huge in Brea out here in Southern California. And the reason I chose Love Bites is because the story of Forgetting Sarah Marshall is exactly that name. That love is fucking heart-wrenching. I've always said this, Ben, like the measure of someone realizing how much they love someone else is by if you picture that person in any kind of harm or any kind of discomfort or anything, it hurts you. It kills you. Like it makes you feel bad. And like when you feel that, that's love. And obviously when you see them happy, you're happy. And Forgetting Sarah Marshall is a movie about vanity, and it's a movie about someone feeling true love or thinking that they felt true love. And then realizing that the person they were with never really experienced that same feeling they had. I've had that in relationships before where I was head over heels with someone. I thought they felt the same way. It lasted for a year, and then I just realized they weren't as into it as I was. So I think Peter Bretter is the definition of Love Bites because he is head over heels. He's a good man, but he just happens to be with somebody that doesn't feel the same way, but loved the disposition he was in and the position that she was in. So they maintained it for her comfort because she was an actress. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is about this guy, Peter, who's like a music composer for TV shows. He's dating Sarah Marshall, who's like a big television actress, basically like what Kristen Bell was at the time. She was Veronica Mars, right? So, and then she flies home one day at the beginning of the movie and he's got his dick out and she breaks up with him. And his brother-in-law, played hilariously by Bill Hader, tells him to go vacation, go anywhere. So he chooses Hawaii, and of course she's there. And she's there with Alda Snow, the great Aldous Snow of Infinite Sorrow, who is played by Russell Brand, who is a scene stealer in the movie for sure. But
those songs are great.
Oh my God. Yeah. We got to do something. And Inside of You are on my work. They're on my workout rotation, Ben.
We got to do something. We got to do something before Mother Earth gets any more hurt. We got to do something.
Basically, the movie is him meeting Rachel, who's a pure of heart person that he's never met before, clean slate, and him figuring out that divide of being stuck in this resort with his ex, sort of being pulled into this new thing of somebody that is genuine, and he can feel the genuine inner, but he's so hung up on somebody else. And this movie is smarter than a lot of people give it credit for. A lot of people are just like, oh, it's a raunchy comedy. It's like, it's got a lot of smart insights on how people actually feel about love, you know? So I'm going to take my first sip of Love Bites, and you can go.
Love Bites, yeah. I think it's such an underrated film. It's a really big fan of Judd Apatow's pretty early on. And he produced this, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yes, he was on set every day, yeah.
Yeah, he produced it, but he didn't direct it, so I didn't bother to see it, and I didn't see it for years. And then I got in a 3-pack with 40-year-old version and Knocked Up.
Makes sense.
And it was the last one I watched, and I put it in, and people told me how much they liked it, and it is one of the most original, funniest romantic comedies I've ever seen, especially from like the raunchy comedy era, because it's pretty tasteful most of the time. And oh, Ben, there's so many great cameos and like small parts by very like famous comedians, and it's just a great movie.
Paul Rudd. Hey, my name's Chuck.
Hey, Chuck. They won't change that flyer. That's my mainland name. My Hawaiian name is Kunu.
Does Kunu have some like cool Hawaiian meaning?
It means Chuck.
Okay, Monster Man.
Yeah. I wonder if the carpet matches the pubes.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And obviously the Dracula reference of Love Bites, I kind of got this nice 2-in-1 here. I mean, I'll get into the Dracula stuff later when we get to themes, but it is a huge part of this movie. And having a beer called Love Bites. And by the way, this is very rich and very dark, and it tastes like German strawberry cake. It's like dark chocolate strawberry cake. So, you know, take that for whatever you think it should be.
That sounds delicious. Delicious.
It's not bad. I wouldn't gulp it, but it's good to have it in a small little 4-ounce flight for sure. Dracula the musical, one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. And when he sings it in the dive bar, it's just, I remember seeing this movie in the theater and just people it was this uncomfortable laughter that people had for just what oh my God, it's so funny.
It's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
That scene right there. Yeah, I think it's so funny. And he sounds so good.
It's getting kind of hard to believe things are going to get better. I've been drowning too long to believe that the tide's going to...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's really convincing. You're like...
Die.
I like, this is the saddest vampire I've ever seen in my life.
No, but as the movie progresses, you see why he wrote that. You know, because he was kind of all along. There's even like a quick flashback where he knew all along he was window dressing for this woman. That there was no future there, but he just didn't want to see it at the time, you know? And then when he got too comfortable with everything, that's when she started reaching out to somebody else. And, you know, she does, you know, Sarah Marshall's not like the devil. She has a moment in this movie where she explains why she did what she did, which is another thing that's so great about the writing of this movie. It's like, she's not just some piece of shit chick that cheated on him. She explains why she did it, and it kind of makes sense, you know?
Yeah, let's move on to character. So, something about Away We Go that's great is there's just a ton of great characters in it. Bert and Verona, you instantly fall in love with. And all the people they meet traveling around the country and then a little bit into Canada are just... Some of them are really lovable characters. Some of them are insane douchebags, but they're really memorable. And they're fun.
Alice and Janney.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be talking about it right in front of the children.
Oh, please, Bert, it's just white noise to them. Listen, watch this. Taylor.
What's the comedian? Jim Gaffigan. Oh man, when he starts talking about the drought that's going to kill everyone in
He's
Arizona,
so uncomfortable.
I forgot. It's like 7 layers of things have to die, and then it's like then people are gone.
Drought's coming. Like biblical flood, but in reverse. Golf course would be the first to go. And the fountains. All the water fountains.
A lot of characters, but I got a beer kind of inspired by Verona. And something with her character, in Bert, in a sense, I guess, is they're having this child together. They've been together for years. They plan to spend the rest of their life together. Nothing can ever tear them apart. There's this great line where she asks Bert, she says, "Bert, no one's ever been in love like us before," right? Or something like that. It's a great fucking line. And, but she won't marry him. Bert has asked over and over again over the years, but she won't marry him. And she said she won't because her parents died, I think in a car crash, maybe, when she was 22. And she just told herself she couldn't get married without her parents there. And she had such a deep bond with them. Later in the film, she tells a story about they had an orange tree that never grew oranges in their front yard by the road. And one day, their mom wakes them up really early, her and her sister, and they hang all these different fruits from the tree on like string with tape. And it's like tomatoes and bananas and apples and like all sorts of stuff. And they surprise their dad. They hide. The dad comes home and he sees this and he stares at the tree for a second like he thought it really grew fruit. And then he sees the pineapples and he loses it. And he starts laughing, and then the mom and the girls come out, and it's like one of her core happy memory moments from childhood. And it's the kind of thing she wants to give her own child also. So I thought that was a really sweet idea. So I found Pinata Hazy Pineapple IPA.
Oh,
by Cashew Humalid. Sorry guys, I butchered that one. This is a 7%. And I've tried this before. I'm looking forward to it again. It is got a lot of pineapple juice in it. A lot of pineapple juice, in fact.
But let's hear how it is.
Guys, it's basically drinking pineapple juice that'll get you buzzed. I don't know what to say. I hope kids don't watch the show. Ignore what I just said. But this is amazing and like the smoothest, not too sweet thing I've ever had as far as an alcoholic beverage goes.
It's so full of good dialogue. Like Away We Go has just these awesome moments of interesting, unique stories. And like you really, Verona is like such a pure of heart character. And I love the fact that she won't marry him. And I love the fact that he asks her in front of them and she goes, nope. Like, I love that. It's just because it's such a unique character trait, you know?
Yeah, it really is. And you know, something I love about the film is like there's like all these just so many moments of just joy, you know, and like joy is something that like we as people don't always take a moment to just appreciate. Joy is different from being happy or content. It's almost like a freeing of the spirit. And there's so many moments like that where you feel like the belly laughs that they're experiencing. Like that's a true connection with a friend or a lover or a parent or a sibling. It's just great for that. Yeah.
Nicely said. Like the joy that you feel if you're interested in this kind of stuff, like when you're when you just got over the hill on a roller coaster and it's finally unleashed and you're going down, that's a moment of joy, you know. It's again, if that's something that you like to do, or Avengers Endgame is about to start and you're like excited, that's a moment of joy, you know. So it is different than being happy or content. And I think so many moments in this movie are about that, like him with the stroller. Oh my God. Like he's getting out that aggression and having fun and making one of the funniest scenes in the movie with the stroller in the house.
We don't meet a lot of not very likable characters, but they're so fucking weird and funny. Oh yeah, that scene with the stroller. Not only did Bert find joy in that moment, Little Wolf did. And I didn't get the feeling Wolf got a lot of joyful moments at his house.
He's been dying to get in that stroller, and
and be pushed around. Yeah,
but you're right. There's so many unlikable people, but Maggie Gyllenhaal and the husband take the cake because
Yeah,
even though Allison Janney and Jim Gaffigan are douchebags, at least they're fun. You know?
Yeah, and Allison Janney kisses Bert in Arizona.
And she stares at him and she's giving him fuck me eyes.
And you don't know, you think that's the worst friend they're going to run into in this movie, and then you meet Maggie Gyllenhaal and her husband, Burning Man, 97.
What do you mean? Like, how do I make my money? How do I earn my? Oh my god!
What is it again exactly that you do, Rod?
What do you mean? How do I make my living?
Then you meet the college friend characters who I think you're supposed to like, but there's too much drama attached to them, which is maybe...
Are you talking about the characters in Canada?
Yeah, really like them, and they don't have...
You love them.
Yeah, you love them, but it almost feels like that scene that happens during the pole dance thing. They're kind of like, well, are we going to be leaned on too heavily for this if we move out here? I mean, obviously that didn't end up being the reason, but
so I actually so like I said, it's like the 5th time I've seen this film, and I watched that scene again in I'm a parent now. I have a 1-year-old, and it's made me, like, I don't know, think about things differently at times. And what I realized with that scene, amateur night at the strip club, Bert finding out that Munch had her 5th miscarriage, and the last one was like the Thursday before they showed up. The look Bert gives Verona across the club, they knew that being there, like, their friends would be there for them. They would be their friends. They would spend time together, but it would hurt Munch. It would hurt their friends so much just to see them have that little girl they're raising.
Yeah.
Like often, you know what I mean?
Which is weird because the way they set up those characters, they seem so happy with all of these foster kids.
They're so happy. They're adopted, so they live with them forever. But
well, that's what I mean. Yeah, foster kids.
Yeah. But they're so happy. But at the same time, like, if someone wants to have a kid the old-fashioned way and they can't, that is it's a very sad thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the moment, because they've always kind of, as characters, felt down on themselves. Like, are we fuck-ups? It's like, no, we're not fuck-ups. I think we're fuck-ups. That couple that they meet in Montreal says it kind of brings this new dimension to the movie where it's kind of everything from what it means to bring life into the world all the way to the constraints of not being able to, no matter how much you want it. And them finally, especially Verona, realizing, like, oh my God, I have this luxury, or I have this gift that not everybody gets to have, So the beer I chose is for the character of Peter Brenner, but it's from the viewpoint of Sarah Marshall. And the beer I chose is Ex-Boyfriend from Hell, which is a West Coast IPA from Paperback. And it's pretty strong. It's a 7.5, or I think something around there. We're going to give it a try. It's a typical IPA. It's a West Coast IPA, so it's not too piney, it's not too bitter, and it's not too much Citra. But the reason I chose it basically is the name, because I think that if you look at this movie from Sarah Marshall's point of view, Peter, played by Jason Segel, is the ex-boyfriend from hell. He followed her to Hawaii. He can't get over her. When she breaks up with him, he refuses to put on a towel, and he says, the second I cover my dick, then I know it's over for sure. And he keeps showing up at dinner when she's with her new guy, Alda Snow from Infant Sorrow. But he's not a boyfriend from hell, not at all, or an ex-boyfriend from hell. He's actually one of the sweetest ex-boyfriends you'll ever have, because when she needs to confide in him, he's there for her, no matter how much she broke his fucking heart. Yeah. But I did choose the beer because that's, first of all, this is hard, folks. Like, trying to find beers for every one of these categories can be kind of a rough ride. So when I did see Ex-Boyfriend from Hell, I'm like, that does make sense. So bear with me if my logic doesn't completely make sense to you. I think it does in the mind of Sarah Marshall, because You know, she feels no guilt until she sees him at that kiosk. When she sees him up there at the front desk, then she's like, oh, fuck, what is he doing here? She thinks he's a stalker, but really, she's feeling the guilt of everything.
Peter,
Hey. Hi.
what are you doing here?
Came here to murder you.
Millions of people come to Hawaii. It's not all about you, Sarah. You know, you see Kristen Bell's performance, which I think is really good in this movie because it's perky and sassy and gross, but at the same time, it's very sweet and vulnerable. She does give off those, because I think everyone in this movie is fantastic, almost any better than they had right to be in this movie.
Well, you know, I really love the film, but I gotta say, I thought
Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis.
Loved her in that.
Well, I like her a lot in this, but I don't feel like she was given much to do. She just
that scene where her ex-boyfriend comes out at the beach party and she's like, you motherfucker, that's hilarious.
It's hilarious, but like, I guess, but I don't feel like he ever has to work too hard for her. And
well, she likes him. She likes him. You know, they connect right away, and she has her own arc. Like, by the end, she wants to go back to college. She feels maybe she did go to Hawaii to escape all that, you know?
Sarah is right towards the end, why she says she put in all this work. To your point about like why
yeah,
like,
but,
I think
but you
the
remember,
ex-boyfriend
though,
beer is the right beer. You know what I
mean? Yeah,
mean?
but you remember the flashbacks, though. You see how much he was just window dressing for her, and how when he tried to play her the music for his play, she just shot it down. Said, "Don't ever play that for me again." Like,
well, I think you picked the right beer for this because, like, but from Sarah's point of view, she put in, like, it sounds like at least a year's worth of like work and, like, you know, like I think she mentioned she went to therapy. She did all these things to try and make it work, but like she couldn't like breathe life into the relationship. You know what I mean?
The psychiatrist. I don't want to go to the psychiatrist.
We'll go see one anyway. I don't like the psychiatrist. You need to go see one. See a psychiatrist. I'm not going.
Another great song, actually. That might be my favorite. I think that was improv. That felt improv. Great improv moment. Like, he has all these problems, right? And like,
well, he's just
Rachel.
lazy. He's just lazy.
Sure, and hey, man, if I wasn't a lazy man, I'd probably be at a real job right now. Like, the moment for her to fall for him happens way towards the end of the film when he gets the photo back. You know what I mean?
Well, she falls for him when they jump off the cliff. You know, that's when they first kiss anyway. But I feel the moment she falls for him, it's in her
same guy.
Hold on, though. Like, she falls for him when she puts him on the spot and asks him to sing that song, and then she hears him pour his heart out, and the camera trucks in on her face, and you see that face. I think that's when she's like, I like this guy.
All right, I guess I have to just be honest with myself. I am not attracted to Jason Segel, and I really had to suspend my disbelief to find that two different women were attracted to Jason Segel. I'm just saying.
Well, he was a composer, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, they don't really explain how that happens, except for the fact that Jason Segel wrote the movie and wrote the part for himself.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know, and at first she feels sorry for him, but then she gets to know him. And I think where I disagree with you on is I think when she does get to know him, he has a lot of great heart. And he expresses that when Sarah Marshall confides in him, like, the show is canceled. And instead of being a dick about it, he's sweet to her, you know, and he tells her it's going to be okay, you know, and all that. This is not The View. You can tell me how you really feel. It's like, I probably couldn't do that to someone that just broke my heart 2 weeks ago. I'd be like, good, fuck you. The movie is about flawed people. I mean, every character in this movie is flawed as fuck, you know, and that's what's cool about it. So, all right, guys, moving on to filmmakers, the people that made these wonderful films. Ben, what beer is representing your filmmaker?
So, for the director Sam Mendes, I chose New Rose, which is an IPA. That's brewed by Hidden Hand Brewing. And I chose New Rose, honestly, mostly for the can. Because
let us see the can.
Oh, hang on, I'm getting to that part.
Sorry.
So I looked at Sam Mendes' filmography, and man, it is prolific,
extraordinary,
and varied. Oh yeah. So I love Away We Go. It's my favorite movie he's done. Maybe because I'm a sentimental fool, but he doesn't really have any other movies like it. So I'm just going to name a few. Okay, 1917, the James Bond film Spectre, King Lear, Skyfall, Revolutionary Road. Not enough people talked about that movie. That
Very depressing movie.
Yeah, but in a good way. Jarhead, Road to Perdition, underrated Tom Hanks film, and then his second film, but the film that I think really established him as a director,
Yes.
American Beauty.
Yeah.
With a single rose, just like the poster. So that's why I went with New Rose. A lot of his films, in certain ways, are like about unconventional relationships, kind of like Forgetting Sarah Marshall is, and the you look at like Revolutionary Road and Road to Perdition, and there's familial relationships, and they're unhealthy.
Well, they both have road in the title too.
Yeah. Well, there's that too. They're unhealthy to an extent. They're not part of the societal norm. And then you get to Away We Go, and that's like the exact opposite. Like these are like these characters like couple goals for people. You know what I mean? But the first one that really I didn't see Cabaret as first film, but American Beauty. So much of that is about fucked up relationships and just people trying to maybe treat themselves and their families better. Maybe. So let's try New Rose out and see how she does.
Let's do it. It looks good.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's fairly crisp, and it's got just kind of like floral accents right there towards the end.
Nice.
It's good. Yeah, I recommend this one.
Take another one. Take another swig.
I'm gonna be taking a few of these.
My favorite Sam Mendes movie is Jarhead. It was my favorite movie of 2005. I just thought it really spoke true and real to military vets during times of war where they're kind of stuck not knowing what they're supposed to be doing. But I gotta say, I think Away We Go is the most rewatchable Sam Mendes movie.
I would say so, yeah.
I just think it's so joyful and fun and sweet and well written. And like you said, any movie that knows how to segment itself into like, now we're here, away we go to here, away we go to here, away we go to here. You could almost just click on which segment you want to watch depending upon your mood, because the movie shifts completely during those scenes. And I love it so much when they do that. So Sam Mendes is a fucking master. I love him.
Yes, he is.
He's one of the best in the business, and
yeah, definitely one of the best still working too. You know what I mean? That like just modern auteur, really.
Yeah. Road to Perdition was a masterpiece. Didn't get enough credit. People came back around to it later, but
it's the only comic book movie that I own that I refuse to put in my comic book movie collection because I'm like, nah, this is something else,
Yeah.
So it lives with the drama.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. It was like a graphic novel, right? Or
Yeah.
I actually picked Fuller's London Pride Amber Ale for Nicholas Stoller, who was born in London. There you go, right there. We're going to give it a try. This is the first amber that I've had since we've done Flights and Flicks on the show. So let's see how it is. I'm not a big amber guy, but... Oh, it's light. I guarantee you this is going to be the lightest of this flight for sure. If you don't know, he's written a lot of great comedies. He's written for Jim Carrey movies. He actually wrote Yes Man, which I think is an underrated Jim Carrey movie. He wrote and directed Get Him to the Greek, which was technically the follow-up to Forgetting Sarah Marshall because it's about Aldous Snow. He wrote and directed The Muppets with Jason Segel, which was a nice kind of return of the Muppets, if you remember that, from 2010. He directed a really underrated movie, another good romantic comedy called The 5-Year Engagement with Jason Segel and Emily Blunt. And then, take these ones for what you will. He directed Neighbors and Neighbors 2, the Seth Rogen, Zac Efron movies. I thought they were funny, but they're kind of low-hanging fruit. But so he's been in that Apatow sphere pretty much for his entire career. I don't know what he's doing these days. The last movie I saw that he did was like 2015. He knows comedy really well, and you can tell he loves working with Jason Segel a lot because they've collaborated on a shit ton of stuff. But he's from London, so I picked You Sound Like You're From London.
You sound like you're from London.
Could you just pull that out of my leg? I think there's a lot of blood coming out of it.
Yes, I'm from London.
Can you get some towels for me, please? I'm really losing a lot of blood.
I wish I saw this in theaters. This is really funny. And I think Aldous' line there is one of the... He's losing blood. He's becoming hysterical. So when Paul Rudd's, you sound like you're from London.
You sound like you're from London.
He's just like, yes, I'm from London. Like, he's almost like, yes, this is fun.
And Peter's already passed out because when they pull that piece of coral out.
Oh, yeah, the coral. It's huge, man.
Dude, that blood just starts spewing out of there.
I know, right?
Okay, so moving on to the final aspect, and the final beer on our flights is the themes of the movie. Ben, take it away, sir.
So this was an easy choice for me. For theme, I went with Hailstorm Brewing's Hotel Life, which is an American lager. It was easy for me because the majority of this film, Bert and Verona are staying out of hotels. Sometimes they stay with friends or family, but a lot of it's hotels. And really, there's only like one scene in a hotel, maybe two, but I think it's one. I remember mainly the one where Bert doesn't get his job. He comes back and he didn't get the job. But regardless, they're traveling, so they're staying at all these hotels. So there's like a very transient feel to the film. Like, so everywhere they go, they're new. And for a lot, the audience, it's the same thing. You know, I've never been to the part of Arizona they went to. I've never been to Montreal. I've never been to the part of Miami they went to. So it's supposed to have this kind of like we're searching, but we're not home feel. So I thought Hotel Life, because they're living out of hotels around America with American lager. I thought that was the way to go. So let's try it. I love a good lager.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic pick, man. Let's see how this beer is. It's a lager.
Wow.
Pretty light?
Really light. Lighter than I was expecting. You know, as an American, we like things heavy. Let me try that again. Light. Little feels like a little. I've not read what the ingredients on the can, but it feels a little citrusy. A bit. Yeah, towards the end there. But good. I like it.
The beer I chose, which I think to me, like the best parts of Forgetting Sarah Marshall is everything to do with the Dracula play. So I chose, this is a very strong double IPA called Even an Immortal. It's a double hazy IPA. And the theme of the beer and the movie is that immortal love does not exist. The theme of Dracula really runs strong through this film. The film at its core is very heartbreaking. It feels like you're being ripped apart, one revelation after another that comes to you. And I've been through this before. Finding out Sarah and Alda were banging for a year before she even broke it off with him. That shit stings, man. And I've been there through those things. And even though you go back to story where it says love bites, it still resonates here because everything comes down to Peter writing this play about why he feels so alone in life. Of course, until he meets Rachel, which you can argue is a thing that was manifested from the script or felt natural, whatever. But I love his entire play of Dracula from puppets, and I do feel that there's an ongoing thread, especially when he's singing in that bar and he's like, die, I can't. He's lost himself in his play at that moment. He's not speaking to the people in the bar. He's completely lost himself in that play. And whether you want to say that's because of Sarah Marshall or not, it's probably not, because he's already written that before he was broken up. I think it's who he is as a person. He's confused on who he wants to be because he's supposed to be, he's supposed to be about 28 years old. So he still doesn't, or maybe 26. He doesn't know where he wants to be yet in life.
How is it?
It's like it says, it's hazy, it's piney, and it's bittersweet. and it's very, very strong. So I should be careful on how much I take of it.
Yes, like Jason Segel, it's bittersweet. But some people they deal with the darker things of life better, and that was true of Rachel. I will give the character Rachel this. She was much better at taking Pete as he came than Sarah was in the end.
Well, in the end, Sarah was sneaking around on him for a year.
Yeah.
When he was faithful to her. So in the end, you can say what you want about somebody being lazy or you're not connecting with them most. You know what you do when that happens, Ben? You talk to them and you tell them, I can't sync with you. We're not connecting. I don't want you to be lazy. And if they don't change, you break up with them. You don't fuck the lead singer of Infinite Sorrow for a year. Yeah.
Teach me how to grow while I'm moving inside of you.
You know, something I noticed for the first time, like I said, 5th time watching this movie, never noticed this before. But Ben, have you caught this? So when they're going to the university to meet up with Maggie Gyllenhaal, Verona she thinks Bert and Maggie Gyllenhaal are cousins.
Yeah.
And he explains, well, we're not actually cousins. They're more like family friends.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I never really caught was, if you really pay attention to that dialogue, he then says that his dad knew her mom, but he didn't know how they knew each other. And whenever they got together, they would always refer to each other, the mom and the dad, you know, of each child would call the kids cousins, like a familial sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then he mentioned how his dad was always asking for pictures of the little girl. So I'm pretty
that I did not notice. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure what that actually means is that Maggie Gyllenhaal and Bert are actually half siblings, and Bert's dad had an affair. It just really, it's a really interesting kind of foreshadowing, because the first, if you will, unhealthy parents we meet are Bert's parents. And then we quickly learn that Bert's dad had such a connection that we run into the real train wreck that is Maggie Gyllenhaal and Roderick. So I thought that was, I never caught that I mean, as far as
have you done research on that? Like, is that something that they talk about? Like,
I did not, but really, Ben, if you listen to how the lines are delivered, it's like we're getting that information.
But I get how you picked up on that.
Neither Bert or Verona, like Bert's just saying it because that's like, it's like, you ever had that moment where you were just like, you're like, oh, my dad slept a lot when I was growing up, and then you realize he was shit-faced drunk on the couch the whole time.
All the time. I really love the chemistry between Jason Segel and Russell Brand in the moments they have together. I think they're two people that should not be interacting at all. And in real life, there probably would be a fight that would happen, you know. But they interact, and there's some really genuine scenes. And when Jason Segel kind of finds his way, when Peter finds his way, that last interaction he has with Alda is pretty great. And it's one of the best moments of the movie, where he's like, you know, be a good man. And, you know, like there's a nice little chat there. And I think when it comes to Away We Go, oh my God, like Maya Rudolph and John Krasinski could not have greater chemistry together. Like it was fucking through the roof. I just think both their characters are written so well. And like, John Krasinski should be a bigger star. I know he is a star, but he should be a bigger star, because he
directs now.
Yeah, but he can kind of do anything. Like I really love it. I love him in this movie because he's not Jim Halpert, even though he was still playing Jim Halpert from The Office. But he's a very different character, and I love like we're talking about how rewatchable it is. I love where he is putting the stethoscope on her and he screams in her ear on a plane, and it's like, dude, you can't get away with that shit these days, man. But even in that time, you couldn't. But I love those moments where he's so playful. And like, even when she's with her sister, and her sister is clearly in love with him. with Bert. You could just see
Yeah,
it.
she's pretty jealous of the kind of man her sister.
Yeah, I
found.
mean, she
that's
looks
pretty
at him a
obvious.
certain
Yeah.
way. He gets a lot of kisses. He gets a lot of full mouth kisses.
Does. He really does. Yeah.
Even the one that's his self-proclaimed cousin
His
gives
cousin,
him a big kiss.
His cousin, yeah.
You know why? Because Maya Rudolph is a comedic actress. She's a sketch actress. You know why she was so fucking good in this movie? Because she was directed by Sam motherfucking Mendes.
Yes.
You know, I'm not taking away anything from her because I think she's brilliant in this movie. She's kind of the heart and soul of the movie. But Sam Mendes is first and foremost, I mean, he knows his camera work. He works with Deakins. He works with all those guys. But if you go back to American Beauty, he knows how to direct actors and get them Academy Awards. So Away We Go is a very, very, very small, you know how they say one for them, one for me.
Yeah.
As directors, Away We Go is definitely one for him. It didn't get a wide release. A lot of people don't even know it exists. So I'm glad we're doing this because it does exist and it's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, and it's a great example of just what a wonderful actress, to your point, Maya Rudolph is. And I would love to see her in more things like Away We Go. Just very personal things where she is our lead.
Some of Alda Snow's best quotes. Come on tour with me. You could be the queen of the sorrow suckers.
You could be the queen of the groupies, queen of the sorrow suckers.
The sorrow suckers.
You had mentioned him interacting with
Peter,
right?
Yeah.
And what works so great about that is because he's so fucking likable.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, he's actually really nice to people and genuine. He's kind of a dumb asshole, but like that's him. You know what I mean? It's not him trying to get one over on you. He's just kind of dumb.
No, he's not. He's not trying to get over anything on anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He's living in his own dumb world.
I noticed how he was the one trying to get Pete to have dinner with him and Sarah for like most of the film. And then obviously things change, and then Sarah's the one who ends up initiating.
Well, I love it when he's like, "Take my eyes, but not the shirts," because he hates the shirts.
Ultimately, yeah, that is. Oh no, not the shirt. Oh, take my eyes, but not the shirt.
Again, you and I chose unconventional romantic comedies. You know, we could have gone with When Harry Met Sally, which is great by its own right. But it's formulaic in the sense of two people from opposite sides of the tracks fall in love, blah, blah, blah. Like, we found ones where yours is two people that are already together and searching for something different. Mine is it's someone who just lost someone. And should they be with someone else, or should they continue to pine for their creative ventures? So Ben, we're reaching the end of the show. We did this last time. We got to do this every time. What was your favorite beer?
Oh, hands down, I just poured it again for myself. They were all great. I've had the Sophie a few times. I definitely recommend that. But the Pinata Hazy Pineapple IPA, that was a completely new one for me. It barely counts as beer, but god damn, it's delicious. It's alcoholic pineapple juice, man. What's not to love?
Well, let's fill up our favorites, because my favorite was definitely Ex-Boyfriend from Hell, which is a West Coast IPA. I just thought it was a perfect type of IPA if you like an IPA. The one I probably wouldn't buy again, though I love the brewery. I'm just not a big stout guy, and mixing strawberry into there, it's good for a couple of sips or pouring over like some ice cream. That actually might be really good. Pour this over some vanilla ice cream, great. But as far as drinking 16 ounces of this motherfucker, that's gonna be rough. So I'm gonna fill up my little glass with the Ex-Boyfriend from Hell, because I'm sure I've been one of those before. I'm sure you have too. I hope I never will be again, but I'm guessing that's probably gonna happen. You know,
I think what matters is the circle of hell you come from. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, what is hell? You know, it's like, I live in Southern California. That's hell to a lot of people. So, you know. All right, cheers, brother. Cheers to another episode of Flights and Flicks, my friend. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Flights and Flicks.
Oh, Oh, woo! Happy Valentine's Day out there, everyone. This is the Benz from Cinema Gulp. We drink your wonderful cinema.
And remember, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.